All right. ETM Hotep uh, means welcome, welcome and peace. And today is our Freestyle Fridays, and you're hanging with the Seshew mdw-ntr. And before we engage in anything for tonight, we always like to start off by giving a voice offering, which is commonly known as the Hotep di Nasu, or an offering formula. So we want to start that off. And we're lucky to have our sister Tonika be able to recite that for us. So I'm going to lock it on your screen and then give you the mic to start us off.
All right, Dua. What you have is the offering formula, and the first part includes the written text in hieroglyphics, and then the second part, that is the transliteration, and the third part, that is the translation written in English. And in this part, I'm going to recite the offering formula, and I'm going to do that in the name of the ancestors. But if you're watching, you can recite along, and you can include any name of any person that you know that has passed along or passed over. So I'll go ahead and read it. Hotep Dinasu, Weser Neb Jadu, Neche A Neb Abju, DF Peret Heru, T Henket, Ka Aped Shes Menchet. Het nebet neferet webet ankhet necheim inkani imaku aku makiru. And what it means is the translation is an offering which the king gives Osiris, Lord of Jeddu, great God, Lord of Abydos, so that he may give up offerings in bread, beer, ox, fowl, alabaster, linen, everything good and pure on which a god lives, for the car of the revered one, the ancestors justified.
Okay, excellent. Excellent, beautiful. So we'd like to start off with that. And just as a note to that, when we pronounce these words in Rodney Kemet words, these pronunciations are what we call Egyptology speak, or classroom pronunciations. And they're simply conventional pronunciations that was created by early Egyptologists to be able to discuss and pronounce the words. The pronunciations of the words don't take away from their meaning. You can know what something means and what something refers to without properly pronouncing it. A lot of times when we learn foreign languages, as we're learning it, we mispronounce a lot of words anyway, but as long as you know what the meanings are behind the words, that would be the goal. And then obviously, if in the speech community, you want to be able to pronounce things properly. But these pronunciations are just conventional, and there's a huge project underway to recover the historical accurate pronunciations. So we are always flexible to learn as it's being discovered. We're learning the proper pronunciations, and that's done through a very scientific method of historical comparative linguistics. And it's being done by African scholars that are comparing the Rani Kemet, the Egyptian language, with related African languages to recover the voweling, the vocal part of the language. All right. So just I always like to say that so that people will be clear on the pronunciations, that they're all tentative when people say these words like Hotep, Uncle Jasaneb, and all the other words that you hear people speak about. It's all tentative, but it doesn't take away from the meanings for us understanding what it means and everything. All right. So with that said, again, I will say ETM Hotep. Today is Friday, so it's our Freestyle Fridays, and Freestyle Fridays is our chance to have fun and to test our proficiency in the language. How many signs can we remember from our memory, and the words, the vocabulary, their meanings, from memory. So on Fridays, we don't use any of the books. We don't use the sign list, or we don't use dictionaries, but we still follow the correct method in transliterating and translating, but we handicap ourselves by eliminating the books so that we can test our proficiency. You know, so it's a way that we can sharpen our skills and also to have fun. So we like to have participation. So I'll try to keep my eye on the YouTube chat to see, you know, what everyone's saying, and you know, towards the picture that we're going to share. All right, but before we begin, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Wujao Meneb Erimaat, and we have other members of the Seshew. You all can unmute your mic and let everyone know who's in the building.
Hotep, this is Tonika, and yes, I'm present for the Freestyle Fridays, and I welcome you all. Enjoy.
ETM Hotep, Dua, Hekanu N, Amin Ra, Fatah, Kwai Sekum. I go by Kofi Paisai. We just want to thank you for tuning in tonight for this Freestyle Friday. And we just would like to welcome you all to the show.
Okay, all right. So let's jump in. Want to recognize those who I do see have typed in something on the chat. So I'm saying Hotep to Lisa, Hotep to Monica, and Brother Jehuti Ma'at. Hotep. All right. So hopefully we get you all's participation in the picture. So now Freestyle Friday, we pick a random picture. A lot of people will post pictures inside of our Facebook group, the Seshew mdw-ntr Facebook group. And for whatever reason, and we may just choose one of the pictures that people post, or they may post a specific picture for this purpose, for our our Freestyle Fridays. All right. So tonight we are going to deal with a picture, and it's coming from a papyrus, and I'm going to share my screen in a few seconds. Let me lock it on my screen first. All right. And you all just let me know if you can, when you can see it. Did it pop up on the screen?
Waiting to see if it shows up. Yep. Two.
All right. Okay, so this is the picture for tonight. And as you can see, well, I'm not going to say anything. Let's just see what we work out. All right. Well, one thing is obvious is that it's not carved in stone. This is a papyrus, and you can see the red and black ink. One of the things that stand out are these two figures at the top. And like I said, the red ink, the black ink, and then we see these lines going up and down. All right, that's what immediately stands out. And these lines going up and down will pretty much give us a hint or a clue as to whether they're vertical or horizontal, or as we would say, in columns or rows. And we can clearly see that they're columns. And so let me just mention the 4 steps to the proper method of transliterating and translating. There is a method. There's a basic method that everyone performs to translate Egyptian text. And it's made up of 4 main steps. The first step is to determine the direction in which the signs are to be read. All right. And just to mention the possible directions are from right to left or left to right. And it could be either horizontal or vertical. All right. Those are the possible directions that the signs can be read in. And different situations and circumstances would dictate, you know, why a specific direction was chosen by the scribes. All right. But you cannot read, you know, the scribes did not write the Seshew mdw-ntr, which is the indigenous word for hieroglyphs, they did not write it to where you're going to read it diagonally at any 45-degree angles or in circles and things like that. That just wasn't done. So I want to make sure that that's clear. So those directions I gave are the possible directions. So that's step one. Step two, you would have to identify every sign. And by identified means you have to know what that sign is mapped to in terms of transliterations. And you have to know what role does each sign play in the particular word that it's a part of. And by role, I mean either the function or the role. So it can either function as a phonogram for sound, as an ideogram or logogram for a word, or as a determinative to help determine the meaning. So that's step two. And also you would collect the Gardner code for that particular sign, which will help you in step three. And step three is to put the signs into its proper grouping, which we would call words. So these signs are not individual signs to be read individually. They are part of words. So where one word ends and another word begins is a skill that you would develop in your studies. But one thing that definitely helps us with that are what's called determinatives, because determinatives come at the end of words. So that's where our clue is, to where one word ends and another one begins. So step three, you would group these signs together into words, take those words and look them up in dictionaries. So that would be fulfill step three. And then step four, you would take all the definitions you get from the dictionaries and all of the other information you have about whatever it is that you're looking at, and then come away with a sensible translation. All right. And there's different levels of translation. There's a literal translation. Then there's a translation for the meaning behind the idioms or figurative speech and things like that. All right. So, but anyway, that's a gist of the 4 steps. Now we go through those 4 steps on our Divine Words Wednesdays, where we go through it specifically slow. But on Fridays, like I said, we do away with the books. So we want to test our memory, our skills, our proficiency, but we still follow those 4 steps. All right. So with that said, what can we start off with this picture here? And is it big enough? Do I need to blow it up?
I see it clearly, but I'm not sure if everybody else on the chat can see it clearly.
All right. Yeah. Let us know if I need to blow it up. I can blow it up when we focus on one section, but I just wanted everyone to see the the full picture so far. All right, so step one.
Yeah. Senate Lisa is asking, maybe you can blow it up a little bit.
All right. Yeah, I will when we focus on one particular section. As far as for step one, we can look at it as it is and determine step one. So in step one, who wants to handle that?
Yeah, I can go ahead. And step one will determine the direction, and we do that by the easiest way is actually looking at the directions the birds are facing. And we have a lot of birds in this, and they are facing right. So we'd have to read it right to left and vertical.
Okay. Now that's good. So remember that. I just want to reiterate it, just to make it crystal clear that you read into the signs, meaning that we face the signs, and the common thing to memorize that is exactly what we do every day, all day, which is we talk to people's faces. We don't talk to people behind their heads, in back of them and things, or it would be rude to do so if you try, if you did that. So likewise, when you read into the signs. So one thing you just mentioned, to determine the direction that the actual signs are facing, the biggest thing that stick out are the birds. But you can use all the signs, you can use all the signs that are directional. Like for example, can you see my cursor?
Two.
Okay. So the reason why birds are pretty much the biggest clue is because one, they stand out and they are definitely directional. So this bird here, this bird here is facing to the right. But now there are signs that have no direction to them. Like you can't tell, they don't indicate a left or right. For example, this sign here, the circle with the dot in it in the middle, a bread loaf. You know, these signs don't have something that's part of their appearance that would indicate whether they're facing one way or the other. So this is why birds are emphasized, because those are the easiest. But then we do have other signs. You know, you have human body parts, like I saw arm, or the viper. This is a viper here, seated divinity or seated man here, and so on. So there are other signs, but birds will stick out more. So birds are sufficient, and it makes it a lot faster. All right. So that's good. Now, okay, before we go to step 2 though, I do want to add something about step 1. Now, and I'll probably be giving it away because I'm looking at this and I can see that what we're dealing with here. Now, the rule is that we always read into the signs. Like I just said, we read into the face of the signs. You face them, you read them into them. So these signs, as Sonnet Tonica said, they're facing to the right. Therefore, you will read from right to left. Now, because this is in columns and not in rows, we have to be mindful of a phenomenon that's called retrograde text. And what that means is that although you're reading into the face of the signs per column, so let's just take this column where my cursor is, we're definitely going to read into the signs. So you're going to read within this column, you're going to read from right to left. Okay. So like, in other words, if two signs are side by side, this sign comes first in the order of things. So this reed leaf will come before this quail chick. So it'll be reed leaf, then quail chick. So you're going to read from right to left within the column. Now, what retrograde text is that although you're reading into the signs from right to left, in this example, the order of the columns themselves are backwards. That's what they call it, retrograde. So normally we would think to start over here because we're going to start from right to left. We would normally start here, and this would be column number 1. We would label this column 1, but that would be incorrect. Okay, we actually start over here. This is column 1 in terms of this picture. This is column 1, and we're going to read from this column over to this one, this one, this one. But now within the column, we're going to be reading from right to left, right to left, right to left. Okay, so remember this. This is called retrograde text, and it doesn't happen everywhere. Matter of fact, it happens less than the normal facing to the right and reading fully from the right to the left. Okay, retrograde texts are found in the various books of the dead, the various underworld books, such as the Book of Gates, the Book of What's in the Underworld, and Book of the Heavenly Cow. Even on the Shabaka stone for the Memphite theology, there's some retrograde text within it. Okay, and then as you study, you'll become familiar with which text does this kind of thing, and then you'll already be familiar with it and expect it. But even if you're not, just keep this in mind. So I just wanted to point that out there, that's what that is. So remember, it's called retrograde inscriptions or retrograde text, and that's what we're dealing with here. Now, one thing that gives it away is the fact that you have two colors here, red and black. The red color, one of the purposes of the red color is to begin an inscription, to begin a part of a text. So when you see red, if I were to read this from right to left in terms of the columns, then the red comes at the end. It's coming at the end, and that we would know based on your studies and being familiar with other texts, you'll come to know that the red starts off different utterances and texts and things like that. Okay, so that's one giveaway now. That's one clue. And then all of a sudden, then as you go through the transliterations and you actually put in the work, you'll find trying to start over here, it's not going to make sense. It's like trying to read an English paragraph backwards. Not backwards in terms of each word, but the word order itself being backwards. You're like, huh? It's not making sense. Okay, and once you discover that, then you're gonna think, okay, wait a minute, let me try to go the other way because it may be retrograde. Then you'll go, oh, okay, it's making sense. Okay, so anyway, I just want to get all of that out the way, and that's step one. So, all right, step two. Say hotep to brother Satep and Ra. I know you came in on. You want to introduce yourself real quick, if you're available to.
Hotep, yeah, I'm here.
All right, okay. All right, so I was looking at the screen. I'm not sure when you popped in, but we're on step two. So step two is to identify all of the signs, but obviously, we don't have time to identify every single sign on this picture. So, Satep, if you're able to, just point out a couple of signs, and I'll follow with my cursor. If you want to point out a couple of signs that you see on the picture.
All right. I was listening to Retro. Should I start in that first column where it says Erit Keperu?
Okay, well let me blow it up. I could blow it up now a little bit so that and then I'll just, like, based on what you see in the picture, you can just tell me.
All right, yeah. So that far left column where the red starts, I see the eye, I see the raised bread loaf, I see the Kepler beetle, I see the open mouth, quail chick. Let's see. I forget what that's. Oh, you moved down too quick.
Oh, I did. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was right there. Okay. Where your cursor at? Where your cursor?
Oh, right here. I'm gonna follow you.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, right there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's somewhere right there. I think that's the seated divinity, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, here.
It looks like the mummy or something, like a standing mummy. Is it?
You came in low. Say it again.
No, so it looks like the mummy. I don't know if it is the mummy, but it looks like the one we have a mummy.
I think that's the standing man, because I see the artificial beard. Ain't that's the artificial beard on there?
Mm.
Yeah. Okay. So now, but hey, Satep. So that's good that you said that, because now we can give a what do you call it? Give a helpful hint. Not a hint, but give a helpful tip. So, okay, you said it's possibly the seated deity. So normally, now this is what I do, is that if you kind of scan what you're looking at, you kind of see seated divinities right here, and right here, and one right here. So you notice this little knee that's poking out, knee poking out. So now when you come back and you're trying to guess this one, now you see it's a little different. So now you can start to eliminate that. Okay, man, this can't be a seated deity, but the face, the head looks exactly the same. See this upper part, the where it go? I lost the other one. Oh, right here, the upper part there. They look alike. So now what Kofi says comes into play, because you got the seated, you got the bearded person, and then what Tonika says it's the bearded mummy. So that's
okay.
Yep.
And behind him, you have the papyrus roll.
Yep. Right there.
Okay. You got the 3 dots. You got the owl. Then you got the dirtbolt below beneath that. Let's see. Hold on, I can't see your screen.
Fuck.
You might have to mute your mic, Kofi.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I just see your screen.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm typing something.
should be locked. Okay, yeah, for the YouTube it's locked on mine. All right, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, I see the doorbell. Right there, yeah, the doorbell. That one right there is a little tricky. I don't know if that's the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. And that is the water ripples right there. Um, Beneath the water ripples, that's like two little strokes, two sideways strokes. Um, that right there is looks like to be like a lotus flower.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you have the cobra right there. Then you have the I believe that is called the pedestal. I know it means Medu. I believe so. Yep. So the pedestal.
Well, that you have that meaning is, I mean, the meaning, the transliteration you have, but
I just
it's
what
the walking staff, the staff.
walking staff. Okay, the walking staff. You have the reed leaf. You have another water ripple underneath that.
Mm-hmm.
You have the eye, and then you have the throne. This time you have the seated deity right there.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see.
About to do the
That,
whole thing. All right, go ahead. You might as well do the whole column. Go ahead.
all right. Yeah, now that is the vulture right there, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the water ripples again with the three dots. And then you have um, the two reed leaves. Then the seated man. And let's see. That is the new bow, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget what that little thing underneath that is called. Is that like the little animal belly or something sideways?
It's a basket.
Basket?
Basket with a handle.
Oh, okay. Okay, so that's the basket with the handle. Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. It means ek. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And last sign.
The seated man again.
Okay. Yep. That's the whole column. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, or we forgot to mention, is the style of this particular script right here. Now, it should be obvious that it's not the very sharply carved pictorial script that most people are used to seeing on monuments, carved in stone and things like that. So this is written on papyrus, and it's done by ink and a brush. So you're not going to get that sharpness. You're not going to get that exact detail of the picture. So these are a little bit simplified versions of the more formal, crisp and sharp images. All right. So this is why, it's a little bit challenging, but you can still recognize everything. So this
Now that I'm looking at it, I see that same mummy. What's it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows over in the red column.
uh-huh.
It's drawn a little bit better.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, is that the same symbol, but they just drew it a little bit better?
Yep.
Okay, boom, perfect.
Same thing. Yep. Same word. Same
Yep.
same beginning.
Yep, same beginning. Okay.
So yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because that's when we're doing this kind of work, we you got to use all the context clues. So sometimes you looking over here, it may not be clear, or let's just say this was something that's in stone. You know how we've had artifacts that are damaged right here. So let's just say this was chipped away, but we could see a little bit of it, and then we'll look somewhere else where we see the same thing, and then bam, here it is right here. We'll compare it, like, okay, it's the same phrase, same sentence or clause or whatever. Now we know, so that's how we are able to work out things that are hard to see. damage, or like you said, this was pretty much drawn a little bit better up here than it is right here. But so just remember that this particular script is more of a simplified form of Seshew mdw-ntr. All right, but it's still Seshew mdw-ntr, and every single sign will correspond to one of the crispy, formal, detailed pictorial versions. And this is something you have to get used to. And by looking at it more, you pretty much just used to it. Like this is an owl. You would get used to it. Okay, so that's good. That was step 2. And now we're not using the book, so we didn't get all the Gardner codes. But I want to say that at this point of anybody sitting down wanting to do transliterations, at that point in time, you should have already memorized what's called the monoliterals or uniliterals, which are signs that represent single consonant sounds. So, more equivalent to what's called an alphabet. By this time, you should have all of those memorized. So based on what Satep went through, a lot of these you should know, like the reed, water ripple. What's another one? Reed again. The cobra is one. The doorbolt is another. The pool is one. The owl, quail chick, the mouth, and the bread loaf. I already said that. So those you should readily recognize. All right. So now, moving on to step 3. Now, step 3 is the step that most of the time is spent on, basically, because this is where you got to group them together and look them up, unless you memorize them. You memorize what the words mean. So, like I said, we don't have time to do the entire picture. But for step 3, does anybody want to take a column? Let me know which column, and I could pan over or not, and identify some words. No longer signs, but let's identify some words. Oh, hold up, but before that, let me see. I did say I was gonna keep up with the chat. So let me just scroll up and see if anybody chimed in. Questions. Okay, Lisa asks, how do you know it's retrograde? I did kind of speak on it, so I don't know if I already answered that to her satisfaction. But again, how do you know it's retrograde? Well, without the different colors, let's say we don't have the benefit of different colors. So again, the coloration is one clue. It's not the end all be all, but it's a clue towards you knowing that it's retrograde. And then, but what's going to really stick out is as you're translating, it just won't make sense. So just to give a better example, imagine you typing an English sentence out. Let's say, I am going to the store. Now we have spaces between our words, so we can identify the words themselves. And English, we read from left to right all the time, unless it's some advertisement marketing. But right to left is the general rule for English. I'm sorry, left to right is the rule for English. So if I say, I am going to the store. Now, retrograde, if I were to put that into retrograde, just imagine the individual letters within the word are in the correct order. So if I spell the word going, Going, that is still spelled that way, but now I put the word order in reverse. So if I say I am going to the store, store becomes in the first place, in place number 1, and then the would be second, 2 would be third, but the individual words themselves are still spelled from left to right, but the word order is in reverse. Okay, so that will be the equivalent of retrograde of what we're dealing with. Okay, so the words themselves are still right to left in this picture, but the column order is backwards. Okay, so hopefully that fully answered your question, Lisa. All right, So now we can go on to step 3. But I see some people have tackled it. Jehuti Mat, if you can hear me quickly, what you just gave, what column is that based on what I'm showing? And I know it's a slight delay, so I'm gonna wait for him to type. I don't know how much the delay it is. Okay, the first column. Yep. Okay, so let me read what he has. So this is Jehuti Mat. He has Eret, Keperu, Im, Sesh, Ni, Jed, Medu, Wasir. So let's look at that. So what does anybody have any comments on what he has?
Could you just zoom out again?
Okay, he's dealing with this right here.
Oh, go ahead, Sinead.
No, go ahead.
I see he had Jed Medu. Never mind. I see what he did.
Okay. How about you, Satep? What would you you have any corrections or advice for the brother?
What happened? I ran upstairs real quick. I got to run to the store. But what did he say?
Okay. Well, he gave the red portion of column 1, which is the far left. So he said Eret, Keperu, Im, Sesh, Ni, Jed, Medu, Wasir. And it's in the chat if you want to see. I mean, the YouTube chat.
All right, I ain't even on YouTube right now. Let me see.
Okay, and then he corrected himself and put the in. Okay, well, yeah, if you said you may have to run.
Let me see real quick. What you say? He said real quick on the first part.
Okay, he said, but he also corrected himself. But he said, Eret Keperu Im Sesh Ni Jed In Medu. I'm sorry, Jed Medu In Wasir, because he added the in.
Yeah, it read. That's kind of what I got too. It read Keperu, M session. I don't know. Well, I don't know because you got the those 2 little strokes underneath that N.
Mm-hmm.
So we would have to take that to account. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that lotus is like a complementary to that word. So I would have to. I'm just freestyling right now, but that combination right there, I would have to look up, and then I would say Jet Medu and Usir, Annie, and yeah.
Okay.
Word spoken by Annie the Usir.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, I said I would go with that too, but this, like Satep said, I think it's session as a word.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading that.
I'll be right back though.
All right. Okay, no problem.
Yeah, so it's probably just that and the ani at the end, the last part of it. But it's the lotus. I think that's the thing. The lotus is spelled out, and then you have like a logogram on it as well. The last part.
All right. So, Brother Jehuti Mat, that was excellent. So the only thing that's different from what you had would be, matter of fact, I'll say it, but I'm gonna type it in as well. Now I know it's not gonna show up on the in the archive, so it'd be a little weird for somebody watching this in the archive. But I'll say it as well. Jed Medu in. Okay, so it would be Iret Keperu Im Seshni Jed Medu in Wasir. So where you had sesh and then ni as 2 separate words, it would be Seshini. Okay, and that word, I mean, if you're familiar with it, it means lotus. And that's why the determinative of a lotus is right there. So yeah, so yeah, that's excellent. That's good. The only thing that, you had the two words, them as two words, but yeah, that was good. Excellent. But that's how you do it. Now, so let me ask you this. So, well, I know you're not going to speak, but
You can get on and hang out.
yeah, I kind of wanted to, well, we mentioned it, but I wanted to see what his thought process was, because step three is all about parsing the words. So you want to separate or group the signs together into their appropriate words. All right. Now, a word like this first word, erit. Now, I mentioned earlier that determinatives usually gives a good indication of where one word ends and another one begins. But there are some words that don't have determinatives. So the natural question would be like, well, what do you do in those situations? And those kind of situations will come from being familiar and memorization of words, because there are certain words that won't have determinatives, like prepositions, like the M here. This is acting as a preposition, and it won't have a determinative, so it'll kind of stand out there on its own. And other common verbs like this, irit or whatever, may not have determinatives, but you'll become familiar with it. You'll be accustomed to it, so you'll know, okay, that's a word. And this is the thing, I always encourage people to start to memorize patterns, recognize patterns, because it's something that we do naturally, and it's something that we did while we learned English from a baby. If English is your first language, your mother language, we did it even with English, but it wasn't pointed out to us that this is what we were doing, but we were doing that. And we had big help because we have spaces between our words. But when you're looking at a newspaper or magazine written in English, because we know the language and the writing system of the language, we don't see individual characters anymore. We see words. And this is why if I was to type out a sentence and take away all the spaces, you'll still be able to read it, because our minds are already recognizing these words. But now if you were to take a foreign language with a foreign script like Chinese and the Chinese characters, and you look at a magazine written in Chinese characters, our first glance at it we're just gonna see individual characters. We're not gonna see any words. Our mind is not gonna recognize, patterns of words. We're just gonna see individual characters, and we're gonna be like, what? Have no idea what it's saying. So this ends up being the same way. When you first look at this, you're looking at beautiful pictures. And that's it. But as you work with it and as you become familiar with it, you're going to look at things, and then you're going to start seeing words, no longer individual signs. Like this eye is not going to sit by itself in your mind anymore. You're going to know that this eye goes with these other two glyphs right here under it. If you can see my cursor, you're going to know, okay, that's a word. You're going to know this is a word right here. You're going to know that this is a name right here. This whole thing, Annie. So just keep that in mind. That's a natural thing that occurs. So we're still at step 3. So so let's finish it out, because he stopped at Jed Midu in Wasir. So who knows the last part here at the bottom?
Set up already did. Then you say Ani, and then you have Enoch.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Well, since this is Enoch, okay. So let's do this. So now that we kind of grouped it together, now let's come up with some meanings of these words. So any words that you know the meanings of? I'm gonna kind of zoom back out a little bit so we can see the whole column. Yeah. That's a contradiction.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I just realize what I said. Zoom out. Zoom seems like to magnify. Like zoom out, zoom in. But I guess so. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. That's one of those nerd moments. But go ahead.
I know irit, I think, means to do or make.
Mm-hmm.
And Kepler could be, I know Kepler means a few things: transformation, coming into being, exists, or coming into existence.
Yep.
So I'm that's well, I'm trying to figure out the group the first, get a word for the first part. I mean, I got the meaning, but I'm trying to give it Kipperoo.
Well, the brother Jehudi Ma'at, he was correct. The only thing he was corrected on was Sashini.
Mm-hmm. I'm saying I'm trying to, I'm trying to put the column together.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you said it means to make. Kepler can mean transformation, manifestation,
Exists.
exist, right? Okay.
Come into being. So that's why I was trying to put those Eric Kepler together first.
Oh well, keep going some more first, and then you can make sense of it. So like now we're bringing meaning over into English. So we got making, the possible things for this one's transformation, existence, blah blah, and then keep going for a while until you build up some context.
I know it's M Seshew. So that's just Seshew. I mean, that could be writing of or scribes of. DJ Medu, which we already know what that is, words spoken by.
Up, time up. I heard the bell. Now let me stop. He gave himself a time limit and everything. Goodness.
So okay, I'm look now. It's let's go back to Seshew. Seshew ni, and it's didn't you say it's two words, right? It's sesh ni, right? NY, right? Two words.
It's one word. That's what I.
Okay. It's one word.
Yeah, sashini, and you see the determinative.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, that's right. Okay, yeah, you just. I'm sorry, I wasn't even paying attention because I remember you just mentioned that.
In the kitchen, and that was the time where he's probably baking or something.
yeah, he's probably baking some food. But go ahead.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So Seshni. Okay. Lotus. The Jed Medu, word spoken by Wusir, Osiris, Annie, Wusir, Annie, what is that? Nuik, Inek. Okay. Inek. Yeah, Inek. So
what does that mean? What does Inek mean?
Man,
all right, Tony could help you out.
Yeah, please help me out.
I, like you said.
What does it mean? I. Okay. Pronoun. I. Right.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. Inek. Right. I'm a dummy. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, you did say it. You're like I.
Right. All right. So we gotta be clear. It's the pronoun I, not I like the pupil with the I in it and everything. All right. So.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's at the end of like when we got the Dianic after the Jed Meadow formula, the DIN what is it? DI period N period INK, right? NK, right? So that's what we talking about. right? Is that it right there? In it, that's what I'm talking about. The in it, okay.
No, not DNX, not that form. That would be
Yeah. I know. I'm saying I would see that, but I'm saying in it. Okay, yeah. That's right. I'm sorry.
yeah.
I got you.
This is the independent pronoun.
Yeah.
I, like when I in my sentence said I'm going to the store, I would use that. So that would be inek right here at the bottom. Okay. So now Tonica, because this is I, like at the bottom, we can kind of use our logic and know that this is going to spill over into the next column. So at the very least, what would you say about this top upper portion right here? If you haven't for that.
The word on the top, I think we've already done that. That's the Seshew.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have WAB.
Okay. So we can stop there.
Right.
For a second.
But isn't that something up under the Seshew? Ain't that M?
This is the lotus right here. See this, the determinative lotus.
Oh, it look a little different right there. Okay, I see why it look a little different because it's a little smaller in that column. Okay.
I'll zoom in. So, like for example, this word sashini, and then it's the same word sashini.
Yeah, I see it right there.
Okay. So, and then we have wab. Okay, so what that combination? What does that mean?
Okay. Looking at the WAB, I don't know if it's that is if it's pure or cleanse or.
Yeah, purity, pure, cleanse.
Okay, so I'm gonna zoom back. I'm gonna zoom back out. Oops, back out. All right. So, matter of fact, I need to hide this. Okay, there we go. All right, now I can see more of the screen. Okay, so now this is what I meant by kind of mapping meaning, because remember when we're translating, you're mapping meaning. Transliteration, you're mapping script. So now we're mapping meaning. So just to reiterate what you already said, Kofi, you said the first one, it maps to the possible meanings of to make, to do. Keperu maps to the possible meanings of transform, exist, evolve, and manifest, all that. And then we have Sashini, which maps to lotus. And then Jed Medu N, that should be very common by now. Everyone should be familiar with that. Word spoken by. Wasir. And then we have Annie, person's name. And then this maps to I. And then we have Sashini again, which is lotus. Then we have Wab, and you all just said that maps to the possibility of purity, clean, and all that. So now with that, if you had wrote all that down, now you had to come and make it make sense in English grammar, because you're bringing it over into English. So that would be the part of the step, and this is step 4. Step 4 is what you would do. Come away. This is what's meant by come away with a sensible translation. So now you want to make it make sense, And like I said, even with step 4, there's different kinds of translations. So even though you can make it make sense in literals, for literal, or you can actually dig into the realities if it's something that's dealing with allegories, metaphors, or any kind of other figurative speech, figurative language. All right. So, but that's different. But at least what we're doing is we're just giving a translation, a sensible translation. So does anybody want to like from the start of this first one up until where I stopped it, any of you all want to kind of give a sensible translation, like a more fluid translation? Anybody else sneak up in here? Oh, Kofi, I guess he accidentally left out. So I guess Tonica, you want to give it? Well, let me check out the the chat. Let's see, make sure I'm not missing any questions. So let's pause here for any questions. What is the name of this papyri? Okay, Lady Venom asks, what is the name of this papyri? This is a papyri of Ani. We actually just saw the name in the first column. I will just, if you see my cursor, I'll highlight it. This is the name right here, Ani. You have a vulture, water ripple, 3 strokes, and 2 reed leaves, and a seated man. So this is the name Ani. So this is coming from the Poret Imheru, or Runu Poret Imheru of Ani, which is the Book of the Dead of Ani. And just as a helpful tip, the Poret Imheru, or the so-called Book of the Dead, is a good piece. It's a good thing to use for your studies. It's a good thing to use for your practices. It's a good thing to use to learn more about the language, to even get into the grammar of the language. All right. And it's a go-between looking at the formal, crisp, detailed script of the monumental Seshew mdw-ntr, and then going more obscure into what they would refer to as hieratic. So this is like a in between. So this is actually a good piece to use, the entire Book of the Dead, and it's popular, and it's clear, and it's in very good condition. You can find some very clear pictures of the different plates. They had to cut it up. It was on a scroll, but they cut it up into sheets, and they call them sheets or plates. And every sheet you can pretty much get them from the British Library, the British Museum website for free. You just got to email them. They have a way where you can order it. It's for free. They'll ask you what you can use it for, and you just got to agree to their terms. You can't use it for commercial reasons. You can't like resell it and stuff like that, whatever the case is. But I would encourage people to go and get it and utilize it. All right. But with that said, Tonika, do you have any, like a more fluid translation from what we had?
Yeah, I'm just trying to write it down, but I think I don't know if it makes any sense. Because the first part is a little bit iffy, but I don't know if it's we have create, and then we have capital, and then we have M, or yeah. So on that part, I think it's probably created in the form of to create, or to become in, or to create, or to create in the form of a lotus. That's the first part. Words spoken by Western, or to come into the form of a lotus, is that's the translation that I'm getting out of it. But trying to make sense of it, of what it means.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay, I mean, see, a lot of times if you keep going with the context, then it'll make you may have to come revisit that first, the way you may first express it. So keep going to where we stop.
Right. To create into the form of a lotus, words spoken by Western Ani, I am. Then you have the lotus again. So is it I am of pure lotus?
Right. So what we have here is and let me put my cursor where we stop. So because remember, we mapped for meaning. So that was step 3. We mapped for meaning. So we had the word cleanse or pure, we had lotus here, we had I am. So now this word irit means to do, to make, or whatever. So when you have to do and you have transform or transformation, because this is keparu, transformations, this is the making. So this is the making of the transformation into a lotus. Word spoken by the Wasir Ani. I am a pure lotus. So, you know, it makes sense because these are, remember the red starts off the utterances. So this is basically the utterances for the making of the transformations into a lotus. Thus says the Wasir Ani, I am a pure lotus. And then it goes on, you know, but we stopped at lotus. So it's saying, I am a pure lotus. And then it will go on. So, okay, so just to kind of explain the pure, so this is why I stopped here, because we have lotus here is clear, and we have lotus, the word lotus here. Wab, which means to clean as a verb, but as an adjective, it means, you know, it would say something that's pure or clean as well, but it comes after the noun, so it's describing the lotus. So what kind of lotus? I am a lotus, but what kind of lotus? A pure lotus or a clean lotus.
Which means to clean as a verb, but it's actually
Kofi, you got your okay, yeah, I got an echo coming from you. All right, so let me just keep up with the chat. Making into becoming a lotus. Okay, that's brother Christopher Withers. All right, so he has making into becoming a lotus, right? Mm-hmm. Book of Dead. Okay, I am a pure lotus, right? All right, so good. So Iker, that's excellent. So it's good. I'm seeing people participate, and you got it right. I am a pure lotus. Yep. All right, so you know we can keep going if you all want to keep going down this column. Anybody want to keep it going?
See what she stopped at Wob a while ago?
Yeah, pure lotus. We stopped at if you see my cursor, we stop right here.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Now,
so
sorry, real quick, just for people who are watching and listening. Normally, you may not know firsthand where to stop. Like, you know, that this is actually a stopping point. So I wouldn't recommend you stop like how I stopped it. I only stopped it because of just being familiar with the language and the grammar, that I know that just, you know, I can safely stop here. But normally, if you were just, you know, trying to tackle this and this is the first time, or, you know, we're at the beginning stages of doing all of this, I would recommend, you know, kind of doing the whole column, and that way the more context you have, you'll know where you can break it up and stop at. Now I also want to say this too, just because it's in columns, like you see this little thin line running down the sheet, and this thin line running down the sheet, this lets us know aesthetically it's separating each column. So you got column 1, 2, 3, so on. But now these columns do not indicate where words end and begin, or sentences end and begin. Okay, these lines right here are pretty much just for aesthetics. They're just for visually organizing the writing. Okay, so just remember that. Don't look at these columns as, okay, I'm you know, this is the end of a sentence or whatnot, because there's, you know, if you think like that, you'll you know, you'll be pulling your hair out, because a lot of times a word will be broken. So like I'll give you an English example. In English, when we get to the end of the edge of the paper, or you get to your margin, you have a choice of, and then, you know, you have a little bit of room to write a word, but let's say the word is too long to fit. You can hyphenate the word if it's possible. Some people do that, or you have to just put the word into the next line below that. So, but I'm saying even in English, we do break up words, but we have a hyphen to let people know that. but we don't have that here. Okay, so but there are instances where you'll see the beginning of a word at the bottom, and then it'll continue, and keep going. The word itself broken up, or the phrase or sentence broken up that way. All right, so I just want to kind of put that helpful tip out there, that these columns right here are only for aesthetic reasons. All right, they don't have a grammatical or a syntactic function. All right. So I'm sorry, Kofi. Go ahead. I just want to put that out there. Make sure that's clear.
Oh, you can look in the chat. What's the name? Jehuti already then jumped on it.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at Hill now, so
okay.
let him have it.
Okay, so what does he say? He has a per m. Okay, let me go back. Okay, somebody said zoom in. Let me zoom in some. Okay, keep in mind we're in this column. So he has per m, and then he has ra. Hold up, let me go back to what he said. He has per m ra irdi ma'at. So this is what he's saying. He's saying per m ra irdi ma'at. Okay, so let's just deal with what he gave, and let's have some comments on that. And mind you, he said he could be wrong, but so since you put it out there, let's go ahead and let's deal with it. Okay, so he said per and ra. So anybody got any comments for that?
Yeah, I was gonna say I just got back. I was gonna say per m haru. I think that might just be haru. Well, is that a quote? If that's a quote chick, I would say haru.
Yes, it's a question.
Yeah, got a deity up underneath it. And you got Erie. And that seated deity right there got me a little stuck. Yeah, I'll say per m haru. Erie. And that ends that for me. That's what I got for it.
Okay. Anybody else?
See, the sun is throwing me off. The sun up under the bottom with the rays at the bottom of it. I can't remember exactly what that sign is simplifying. I know it can exemplify daytime. Yeah, so yeah, I know it can exemplify daytime, light, evening, or morning, I think. But I know it's not Ra, because I know he's got a Ra on that. So that's the only thing throwing me off right there. But I know I've seen per M, and then that could be Haru, Iri.
It could also be Webben, because I think that's what you were trying to get at, Coffee.
Huh?
Webben.
Who?
Webben, the sun with the rays on it.
Yeah. Because I know it's not Ra. But I know it, it can, I've seen a sign where it can determine day or evening or morning or something like that.
Okay. Let me just look back at what he said. He says, yeah, per m ra irdi ma'at. So Satep, say what you said again.
Yeah, I said per m haru theory, but when I say haru, I'm thinking about like how Kofi said like daytime, because I know the per m haru means going forth by day. So I know it's trying to say something about daytime. I just don't know if it's haru or if it's what the Sinet said. Now that I'm thinking, it could be what she said.
It is kind of hard though. I mean,
I know it's talking about, yeah, we know it's saying daytime.
Yeah, it
we
could be
know
day.
that for sure.
It could be a rise, so.
It's just that deity after it that's throwing me off.
Okay. So, all right, let me just read what Brother Christopher Withers has said. He says, "Who comes forth from the Aten sun?" What about that?
I wouldn't say no. I don't see a 10 in there.
Is he equating? Wait, I don't see I-10. Hold on, let me look. Oh, he don't have it. What's the name? I just see. Okay, who comes for the I-10? No, I don't see that neither. I see Erie, and then I don't know what this seated deity man is, right? Well, this seated deity. I don't know what that seated deity is after Erie. So I can't make out what that is. But I don't see Aton neither.
Okay. All right. So are we stuck? No. Okay. So all right. So now let's just map out some meaning. So we have per, which can map to possibly meaning to exit, to leave,
Come.
to come, to go.
Mm-hmm.
Now usually if the legs are facing the other way, it would be to go. So it would be to come or to emerge, to coming forth. And then we have M as a preposition. And then this is the word that's in question. And then we have iri. And we have another seated person, determinative. We have a determinative here, determinative there. And I think that's where he stopped. He didn't go any further. So now let's just go a little further. Let's just, put that on pause and let's just keep going a little further. So what does anybody have anything for from here all the way down to the bottom? From where we left off, Erie all the way down. And then we'll get back to what they were saying, because I know Christopher Withers gave an example, and Jehudi Mott. So those are the two.
See, I'm stuck right there with like I'm saying, when we go past Erie. I don't know what that deity is.
Yeah, I'll probably guess it goes with the word is being used as a determinative, as a determinative on it, but I'm not sure. So, because it would be kind of odd to have it on its own. So I would lump those signs together. The Erie and the seated deity. And the papyrus, the royal papyrus.
Been calling. I was in the bathroom.
Up, you gotta mute your mic. All right, so
Yeah.
all right, so let's let's go through this. All right, so we have where's my cursor? I lost my cursor. Can y'all see my cursor? There we go. Okay, so we are here. Let's back up a little bit. So let's review real quick. So we have Irit Keperu M Sashini Jedmedu in Wasir M Ani Inuk Sashini Wab per M. Now this is the thing in question. So we got per M. So to come forth or to go forth or to exit in or by way of or in. And now I think Satep gave a good clue that the per M Heru, means to come forth by day. So his you said Heru, which would mean day, not Heru as in, like Horus, but Heru as in day. Now, so that's a possibility. Then we have Eri. and then we have some more words. So we have this will be, now this looks like the way it looks like this, like a roll. And this is a pool. You can see the pool right here, Seshew. You can see how that looks like the pool. We have a mouth here. Now, it wouldn't make sense if this is a papyrus roll. So this is an example where you have to kind of use your context and logic and reasoning. But that kind of stuff will come as you just become more familiar with these different things. Now, as a beginner, this stuff won't jump out at you, and it may be confusing. So this is why it's always good to practice, and it's always good to take it slow and be open-minded and utilize your context, because even though this will kind of throw you for a loop right here, you can put a question mark next to it and then keep going. And then sometimes when you keep going, what you find out later may give you clues to come back and figure this stuff out. So me, if I had to guess, now this is because I know the different forms of light. You have Heru, which would be day. You have Su, which is day. And you have Aku, or Ku, which is day. Okay, and usually the Ak part of it would have these rays coming from it, which will kind of be in harmony with what we see, because we have a quail chick for the word Ku. Instead of Heru, it may be Ku, which is light, a form of shining, a form of brilliance, a form of illumination, and things like that. And it kind of goes into the word Aku, which is venerated ancestors, and how they become stars and they become shining ones, and all of that stuff. So like the more you're familiar with all of that, then you'll be able to kind of put the connect the dots and things.
Wow, yeah.
So then we have Iri, which this is like one who does, or one who is, or one, either one who is, one who does. Something to that effect. Like when we say Iri, you say ear. In Iri, it becomes who does, or who something, or that which. I mean, probably not explaining it the best way, but if it was ear by itself, it would be which. But Iri is who, or whom, or that which. Who or that which does, or who does, or whatever the case is, or who is, or that which is, etc. Then you keep going. Now this is a word that we didn't nobody mentioned. So this word right here, if this is a rolled papyrus, it wouldn't make sense. So the next best guess here would be to identify, look for other signs and words that you do recognize and that you do know.
Would it be Hotep? He's giving an offering.
Well, I'm saying if
it can't be that, because I see Hotep over here.
Yeah, I'm saying now when I say that this is not a papyrus roll, I'm saying to begin a word. So I'm not saying that that this is the beginning of the next word. I'm saying that because if this is a papyrus roll, it wouldn't make sense that this is the beginning of a word. If this is a papyrus roll, then this will be the final determinative of this previous word. So Iri would include two determinatives, in other words. So I'm pointing out the fact that when you see a determinative, sometimes you can't stop just there. And like I said, these are things that you'll just kind of pick up on as you're doing this. So this particular word, Iri, looks like it has two determinatives. Because if this is a papyrus roll and then we try to include this to begin a word, it wouldn't make sense. Okay, so now we know this is an abstraction, if this goes with this word here, iri. And then this pool will start our next word. So we know this is a sh or sh, and then r, and then the read. So,
I sure. What is that? That's um IQ. Um, I don't know what that is. Is that a piece of flesh right there at the bottom?
yep.
What's on the top of it? Is it a hill or is it the
Yeah,
walking
that's
leg?
the
I
that's
can't
that's the
describe it.
heel.
All right.
That's ain't that's the heel, the Q that makes the quark sound.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Okay.
But that's not what it is.
But it may, it may not, and it does look like the hill. If I could zoom in, let me zoom in some.
It looks like the hill and it looks like the walking leg, maybe squeezed in. So, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, it looks like the hill.
Now, let me say this too, because we're looking at this one section in isolation, but when you're dealing with the entire papyrus, you're gonna have a lot of other signs to look at of the same signs. So what you're gonna end up doing, whether you realize it or not, you're gonna get used to the penmanship of this particular scribe that drew these different signs. So prior to this, you may see the difference. You may see how the hill looked, and you'll be able to tell yourself, okay, yes, this is a hill or not. Because whenever you're at a question of something, whether something is something or not, then you always go to your visual clues. So you look for a word that you definitely know. So you always work with what you definitely know. So what I would do, this is just a step that I would take. If this was in question whether I thought this was a hill or not, then I would find a word that I know for sure has the hill in it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that because on some of the sheets you get, for the most part, a lot of the scribe would ink the heel, kind of like the raised bread loaf is like inked inside. So most of them would do that, and then you have some parts where they're not inked. But then that's what I was wondering if it was. I'll probably have to look, like you say, on the other parts, because I can't expect it to be inked all in for the heel.
Right. Okay. And that's another point. You would know, you'll be, like I said, you'll be accustomed to what's going on. So let's say, for example, this nook right here, this new bowl, you notice how the bottom half is inked in, but you still see this empty space. Same thing with this one. Same thing with this one. And you can look throughout. So if you were ever in question, you would know that, okay, that's the kind of style. But now you see 3 of them in a row and they're not inked in because they're smaller. So when the person drew it smaller, they didn't always ink it in a little bit. So these are things that you would definitely have to consider and deal with. All right. I don't know what's being said on the chat just yet, but if anybody, did anybody come with something? But this particular word would be sh. Well, sorry, a capital S in transliteration, capital S R I, and then we have a question mark here whether it's a hill because it'll be IQ, or if it's something else, and this is a determinative for flesh, usually. And then below that, we can see what this is. So if we keep going, we can see what this is. This should be familiar to everybody.
Yeah, that's raw.
Mm-hmm. Right. All right. And what else? Right here.
Eerie.
Mm-hmm. So we have the same thing. So this Erie matches this Erie because you have the determinative and then the papyrus roll, determinative, papyrus roll right there. So does anybody have a transliteration or anything? Somebody said Google it.
We don't do that.
Is this the same Erie that's in your name?
No.
Okay.
Nope. Oh, let me just scroll up a little bit. I'm just trying to find some questions. He said, got to get that Purim Haru from the British Museum ASAP. Yes, definitely. Yeah, I recommend just go to the website, British Museum website, and find the papyrus, and then you'll see on there where it say if you want to get it. I forgot exactly what it says, but it's pretty easy to find. Email them, and then you just have to agree to their terms. You have to say what, if you're an independent researcher, if you know what you're going to use it for, and the fact that you're not going to resell it and all of that. And they'll send you a really good quality size picture of each plate. All right. And what else? We got James, pardon me. Could you educate me on how Champollion deciphered the glyphs in the 1800s? Yet the pyramid texts are almost word for word in some Bible texts. Let me try to understand that question. Could you educate me on how Champollion deciphered the glyphs in 1800s, yet the pyramid texts are almost word for word in some Bible texts? Now, in fairness, James, in order to really answer that question, you would have to, what you would need to do is to pull out the pyramid text and pull out the biblical text and show specifically what Bible text you're talking about, so that we can do specific comparisons first. And that's not even to really answer your question. That's just for you to even have a better question, for us to really get into it. And then we will be able to proceed from there, because the way you word your question is basically you're saying, well, if Champollion didn't translate it until the 1800s, but the pyramid text goes way back to 2500 BC, and then the Bible is even before Champollion, then man, how did that happen? Basically, that's what I'm getting from your question. So we have to correct your question first, but so you have to pull out specifics, because I don't know. There's people who say the Bible is plagiarized from Egypt, or Christians plagiarize this and that from Egypt, but a lot of times when those statements are made, they're very general and vague. People are not specific, and we can do generalizations and vague stuff a lot, and plagiarism is being used very, very loosely, because you have a lot of sharing of figurative ways of explaining natural phenomena. Like all across Africa, you have a shared observation of natural phenomenon that is expressed slightly different depending on the language and the culture, and even in the environment that people are surrounded by. So like, for example, among the Dogon, they talk about the Nomo, and they break them down into 4 pairs. They have this kind of unfolding of this hierarchy. And in Kemet, you have the Ogdad, or what's called the Kimnu, which creates a hierarchy in this unfolding, these unfolding of pairs. They describe them a little different. They have different words, different language, and so on and so forth. But you can kind of see that you have some parallelism going on, some corresponding going on, and not necessarily the exact same thing. So Bible, cultures and things can share in those expressions, not necessarily plagiarize or copy, and things like that. So, I say all that to say that, I see those kinds of points being made a lot, but I never see people really get specific and really analyze it to have a really good conversation about stuff like that. All right. So, which is cool. It's nice to have, but this is our Freestyle Fridays, and we're dealing with this particular text. So if you had a question about this particular text, feel free to go in on it. But for your specific question, maybe we can have a separate hangout for that. And I would love for you to be a little more specific, and we can have a nice discussion about that. So that's just what I would recommend. Yep. So just keep that in mind. So hopefully that Brother James, that's satisfactory for you for now. I definitely didn't answer your question. I wasn't trying to, and I just letting you know that we could build on that at another hangout, but you had to be more specific, and it would probably be a nice thing to talk about. But all right, so back to this with the text. So I'm trying to find out if anybody went ahead. Okay, Brother Christopher Withers says, "Who comes forth from Ra's nose?" Anything before that? Let's see. Okay, so that's actually good though. That's actually good. Not good though, but that's actually good. Who comes forth? Where's my cursor? I lost my cursor. All right, there we go. Where we at? Okay, so basically you backed all the way up. So who comes forth from Ra's nose? So basically you're saying that this is Ra, and well, I tell you what, Brother Christopher, if you can do a transliteration, type out a transliteration for what you have, and let's work from there. And yeah, I know it's a delay. I'm looking at the chat, and it's like a few 30-second delay. But anybody had any comments on the panel?
I was going to say, like, if that's not the Erie that's in your name, would that be the same Erie that's in Nefertari's name, like meaning wise? Because I'm still trying to figure out that.
Oh, the Erie?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. It's not the one that's in my name.
Is it the one in hers?
I'm trying to picture her name in my mind. I think so, because her name is Erie with the reed, the mouth, and the two strokes, right? Diagonal strokes.
Yeah. Now that means, because I know that means companion or something. Like, I know her name means Neferet Erie, the beautiful companion or something like that. Beloved of Moot. So does that mean companion or some along that context?
Well, that doesn't really mean companion though.
Okay.
That Erie, not like that, but you can walk. You can kind of make it make sense that way.
Yeah.
Because ear means to or towards, it's like a preposition, and it's creating a nisby from a preposition. So instead of saying to towards, it's like that which is to or towards or connected to. So that's why they say companion. Like who is connected to this or who is towards this. So Neferet, Erie, the beautiful one who is connected to blah blah blah. So that's why they say companion. So it doesn't mean like companion by itself.
Was it connected to something along those lines? Like, would that mean that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's why I was asking the brother Christopher Withers if he could type out what he had for as far as his transliteration, and then we could work from there, because I'm interested in seeing what he has for that. If anybody see it, because I don't see it on the chat yet. I don't know if mine froze or what. Nobody? Yeah, like this day of silence. So how about any other comments? Brother Chris, you may want to introduce yourself. I know you popped in under the radar. If you're able to speak on your mic. Okay, guess not. So, I don't want to have this dead silence here, but I don't see. Can y'all still hear me? Make sure I'm still plugged into the matrix. Goodness.
Yeah, you still in the matrix.
Yeah, I might be unplugged and talking to myself.
All right.
All right. So, yeah, but Christopher, and I say your whole name because, man, we have a lot of Chris around. So say CW. Hopefully you don't mind. CW, but CW, if you could just type out your transliteration and then let us walk through that. I'll wait a little while, see what you're working with that. Or if anybody else, Jehudi Mott, Sean P, Lisa, Monica, anybody else want to take a stab at it?
Yeah, these that's pretty tough right here. Freestyle wise. I know if we put them dictionaries out, we'd have it done ASAP.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. See, that's what I want to make it clear too. Freestyle Friday, we just go as far as we can, and then, there's no harm in pulling out the books afterwards and everything.
I think they probably not used to some of these sounds, because I know when when we first started, dealing with the papyrus, I know I had to get used to a bunch of the sounds because I was so used to, the stuff etched in stone, so they probably, having a hard time with, trying to recognize some of them signs.
Mm-hmm. Heru Eri, he said Nin, Share Ikra Eri. Yeah, we're getting a lot of all right. Well, I don't want to take too long, so let's all right. So anybody on the panel come up with anything? I know Chris is here, but I'm not sure if he's able to talk. Chris, if you're not able to talk, if you could type into the sidebar, the side chat, what you have for that. Oh, okay. I'm trying to see. So
I'm sorry, what we
all right, if you can see my cursor, we were down here at the bottom.
Yeah. Oh, we still right here where the reed leaf and I guess that's the heel and the piece of flesh.
Yeah. Now to resolve this would be just a matter of whether you recognize the word or not. So it's like no sense in playing around with it. Either we would any of us would recognize it or not. And if we didn't, normally we would just hop to the tools, which would be the dictionary and so on and so forth. So me, I don't recall this particular word off the top of my head. So now I can use context clues and take a very good guess, but I wouldn't leave it there. I would definitely verify and check. But I would say that this has something to do with nose. This is why I asked the brother Christopher Withers if he gave his transliteration, because up here I see the word this word right here for nose up here. So it just gives me some clues, where it says come forth, as the brother said, come forth in the light, or come forth from the light, and then it continues on. And it's saying something of Ra. So this would be nose, would be the nose of Ra. And then also you have this here again. So it'd be Iri. And then you have another word for nose. And then you have per a place. And this looked like Hut. And then you have Heret. And you have the serpent determinative. So this is most likely one of the divinities, Het Heru, but it's Het Heret. Then we have Iri again, and so on. So I'm trying to keep up with what anybody not coming forth who's at Ra's nose. It does have a body determinative. Shari Ker Ra, not coming forth who's at Ra's nose. And then we have what's next? Oh, okay. So Chris is putting on here Eri Sharet Ra, the one at the nose of Ra.
So, okay, Erie Saret. All right, I see Erie now. Saret. Where did he get Saret from?
Sharet, which will be the capital S for the she sound, the she, the pool, the R, and
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, I see. Well, no, okay, I get the capital S for the pool and the open mouth. Okay, but where the T? Where did he get the T from?
yeah, the T is not shown. So if there's a T, this T is definitely not there. So I don't think that's a typo somebody typed in.
So all of that goes together then is I mean, this is one word: the water pool, the open mouth, the reed leaf, the hill, and the piece of flesh. Is that all one word?
Yes, it would appear so. It's the flesh determinative on this part.
Right. So that's what made me ask the question: is that all one word? Because if you mean y'all, I hear y'all keep just saying nose.
Yeah, it's probably because I would guess if that's correct, it would be a variation because sometimes you have the T might be included or omitted, but going off with other signs on it, then it would be that because usually sometimes you find different variations where they don't include everything in it. If it makes sense in coffee.
Yeah.
So we come up with something.
I mean, I'm still trying to. I'm still trying to figure it out. I mean, That's why I asked: is it all one word? And I mean, is it? I mean, Saret. I mean, what? How is it? Is it? I see Chris got SRT, capital SRT. I see the capital S. I see capital R, but then I see the read live because I mean, just by me going there, I would say capital S, lowercase r, lowercase I, and the letter Q, if that's all one word. Sarik. I don't even know how they even pronounce that. Sarik.
What's that word mean?
They saying no. That's what that's why I'm saying, because if it's saying nose, and just like Sanette said, with the piece of flesh would be the determinative. That what made me ask, is that whole one word, because I keep hearing the word nose. So I know that probably be that piece of flesh will probably be a determinative to that whole word. But I'm still, if that's nose or whatever it is, I'm trying to get an understanding of where the SRT come from. And then I see another brother, he got SRIQT. And I would have capital SRIQ, but I wouldn't have a T in there. So I'm trying to get some understanding, what I'm saying,
I'm trying to figure out, is it saying, like, I know you said Wujao, the third line at the top, that means nose as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so could it be saying that he's connected to the nose of Ra?
Well, see,
Twice?
this I'm saying, like me, now, mind you, before we, crack open any books, I'm saying I recognize this to be nose. This one, I don't recognize from memory. So I'm just taking an educated guess for this particular one. So what it looks like is saying is that I come forth in the day at the, and they're saying nose. So let's just run with that and see how it sounds. At the nose of Ra, and also, the nose, and then we have of, then het heru, or het heret, het heru, because snake determinative. And then this Erie would be the Erie that you were asking me about, Satep. Erie, which means he who makes, and then that would be something different. He who does, or he who makes, and then you have Hai with the determinative here, with the leg. So this means to go somewhere. Hai is like you sending someone. The word hai is to send, to like a messenger somewhere. So you're saying I make, or he who makes, or that which makes, or something like that. And then you're saying hai, hai e, it means my sending, which would be probably, in English we would say my travels. So I'm making my travels, and then so on and so forth. So that's how I would keep going, and then come back to this. So it's saying I come forth in light at the blank of Ra, and then also at the blank, not the blank, but at the nose of Het Heru. So if this is nose and this is nose, I don't know why they would use two different words in the same.
Could that one be flesh? I know it ain't the symbols for flesh, but could it be a variation for flesh?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying at this point, these would be my questions. I would say, okay, well, I know this one's nose, so the nose of Het Heru. Then this one is something at Ra, but I would put a question mark, and we would look it up. But I don't have a recollection of what this word is by heart. So that, for me, this would be a question mark. But I do know it's somewhere at something of Ra. You know what I'm saying? I at least know that much, and I'll put a question mark. And then it'll take like a hot second to look this up. I already know, but we're not gonna do it just yet. But I mean, actually, we're going on a 2-hour mark, so we might as well go ahead and do it. So let's get to a point where we can stop. So let's say to come forth in the day at the blank of Ra, and also at the nose of Het Heru, I make my travels. And then we can go on. What is this? Is M Ka, which will be M Ka is usually a phrase that means something that's to come after something. And then what do we have? No, this is not M. This is not a owl. See, this is how you double check. This is an owl. This is a quail chick. So Waka. And then this is a vulture. This is a quail chick, vulture. So we have Waka, which is some kind of action, because it's determinative for that. So it's my. So it's either, if it's a verb, it's saying I do something. So this is some kind of movement. So if we're talking about somebody traveling, then it will be waka e, which will be, you're traveling. So something further dealing with traveling. And then we have the sedge plant and the quail chick. So we have su, of him to him, something like that. I'm just speeding through it. But you would get enough context, then you would have to come back, and then we could look it up. So I don't know if y'all want to just go ahead and do that, so we can at least don't leave everybody hanging on here.
Yeah, we can look up that word real quick.
All right, let me just quickly look at the chat. Maybe somebody already did. Got Erie. Okay, that's from Little Real. The one at the nose. Okay, right. Erie. Sharikar Ra. I did breathe Ra. What's that glyph under the eye? 2 reliefs. Yes. 2 reliefs under there. Shimon Hotep. All right. Yeah, Sean. All right. Shimon Hotep, bro. Yeah, we had the 2-hour mark, so we're gonna close out. All right, so let's go ahead and look that up. So who wants to go ahead and do that real quick? If you see my cursor, this word right here, capital S, R, and then the I. At the very least, we know that. And while you're looking it up, for those who be watching the archives, see, this is the process that we take now. Like I said, Freestyle Friday, we're not using any books, so we're trying to go straight from memory at first. But now at this point, because we're coming to the end, we want to close out. We're going to whip open the book so we can give a proper translation and don't leave anybody hanging. Now, in normal circumstances, we would use the books full stop, and we would get through this a lot faster, and the whole 9. But like I said, Freestyle Fridays, we're having fun and trying to see.
Could you just zoom in a little bit on that word?
Okay.
You're just looking through on the dictionary.
Right here.
Right. Well.
All right. But yeah, if the brother James is still watching, or I don't know if he is, but if he's still watching, yeah, that would be a good topic to talk about. It's just, have to have a really good question about that. Because I'm gonna tell you a similar question to that. I'm just buying y'all time to look up this word too. But a similar question.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, a real quick similar question is how did any Egyptian word find its way into the Bible? Like any Egyptian word whatsoever. Like let's just rule out the whole plagiarism thing. Let's not even let's say that there's no plagiarism or whatsoever, but just events and people's names and stuff like that, Egyptian words themselves. If it wasn't deciphered until 1800s, then how did any Egyptian words get into the Bible? I'm just saying that's another rephrasing of the similar question. But I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking on page 1409 on Leviticus 2015, and actually looking at it, I'm wondering. I think probably that wasn't the heel, that was the face, but probably just squeezed in there, because it could actually does look like the head in profile.
Mm-hmm.
So then you get the word on 1409. You get the word sharet or sharit, and that has the pool, and then the mouth, the reed leaf, and then you have the head in profile, a stroke, and the flesh.
Okay, so and it means what?
A nose or nostril.
Okay. Right. So we have to justify why there are 2 different words for nose, because this is nose, and then this is nose. So one would be nostrils, and one would be nose. So it would be at the nostrils of Ra.
I'm looking in 2013 12, whichever the oldest version, it has nose and nostril too on page 1278, but it's the pool, the open mouth, the reed leaf, that coil, that chord that we can use as a W, and it has the two faces. It has two faces on it. I guess that's the face with the nose, or Sinet we're talking about, the determinative D19.
Yeah,
Right.
the hidden profile. Yeah.
Yeah, so it has it twice on here, but it has Z7, which I can't remember what that chord was, but I know that when I see it, we can use it as the letter W.
Okay.
So it's nose and nostril also, but it's different than what you have. It's
Yeah, because you get there's different variations. There's the part where there's with the raised bread loaf and all that. So I guess there's different variations, and the scribes would use whatever it is that was appropriate or could fit in. Or uh, that's just speculation. But there's different variations. But I think it would come to the same translation, something to do with nose or nostril.
So to come forth in the light at the nostrils of Ra, and at the nose or at the forepart or at the face of Het Heru, because we have the word fined, which will be this, because this is a face and profile right here, and you had a single stroke. Then we have the flesh. Then we have the knee, which would be the water ripple. Then we have hut heret. So at the face of Het Heru, or the nose, because it can also be the face or the nose of Het Heru. And then we have Iri, which is who makes, or who does, he who makes. And then we have Ha, or Hey E, which would be travel, my travel. So basically I do, or I perform my travels. And then we have to look up wakak. So can someone look up that word? Transliteration will be W X A. I'm sorry, X capital A, and then X. And what do you come away with that?
You said W. Oh, hold on. Let me go back and make sure, because I didn't get nothing for that. I got You said WX capital AX.
W X capital A.
Mm-hmm.
Try that by itself.
Okay.
Well, for where's my cursor? I lost my cursor. You find it yet?
I'm still looking. Well, I'm gonna went back on.
Okay.
I think I found it. What's the glyphs for it? What's the glyph?
That's what I'm trying to look at now. That's why I just clicked back over.
The quail chick, the tall lotus, and then the vulture.
Yeah.
Okay, so it got allocate, space, assign, cross out. What's the glyphs that precede that? Because I think those might go along with it.
No, that's a seated person that goes with this word.
Okay.
But look for the one with the legs.
Yeah, the one with the legs where it say seek, require, search, demand, look for, or wish.
Okay, so now we see. So it says, so it's basically saying I perform my travels seeking Su him of, and then we got Heru. All right, we'll stop there. So we see this is the Falcon, the Heru. So this is basically saying, so we start over. Let me zoom back out. So these are the utterances for making transformations as a lotus, because the word M is as a lotus. Thus says the Wasir Ani. It doesn't have Makiru, but thus says Wasir Ani. I am a pure lotus who comes forth in the day or in the light at the nostrils of Ra and at the face or nose of Het Heru. I perform my travels seeking him of Heru.
You chill?
And then, we would obviously, continue on and stuff like that. But for time's sake, we would end there. But, so for those who are watching right now, those who are watching the archives, this is like, this is something that we go through on the fly on our Freestyle Fridays. But now if we were to be more definitive and move for accuracy, then we would definitely use the tools that are available to us, and we would pinpoint and narrow some things down. All right. So matter of fact, Chris Lil Real had already typed out a transliteration. So we have Iret Keperu M Shashini Jed Medu in Wasir Ani Inuk Shashin Wab Per M Haku Iri Sharit Ra Iri Fenej Ni Hut Heru Hut Herut Irihi Hai Wakai Su in Heru Inuk Wab Per M Safet. So that's where we are. That's where everything where we are right now. All right. And like I said, if we were doing this for accuracy, for something to pinpoint some definitive accuracy, obviously we would definitely use the tools. But like I said, on Freestyle Friday, we're basically drawing from memory and we're identifying. I think everybody did a great job. Everybody participated in the YouTube chat and then everybody on the panel. So yeah, that's how you knock that out. And by us doing this should show that the claims that the language hasn't been deciphered or translated. We discussed that on Wednesday. We discussed the implications of such a claim. So go to the archives and listen. We had a nice discussion about that. And then tonight we're actually showing that we can read it, and we're not even using any tools. Until the end, we looked up those two words. But if we were to use the tools full stop, we would have finished this entire page, and we could go into the next page and so on. All right. But now, if any of you all who are listening now or in the archives want to learn how to do this, we have classes. Go to mdw-ntr.com, which is mdw-ntr.com, and we have classes. They're 12 weeks long in duration, meeting once a week for 2 hours. So we meet once a week for 2 hours for 12 weeks. At the end of those 12 weeks, what we just did, you will be able to do. All right. And you'll learn and you'll know that the language is known, that we know about the language. We know what it means. We know the grammar. We know, all the different syntactical elements, the morphology of the language. All of this stuff is known, but you have to put some time in and learn it. But we offer a class now. Just the grammar is going to be offered later. Right now, it's a beginner's level class. So for anybody who's a beginner, novice, they just get into this, that class is perfect for you. And if you even already have some experience and you want to review and you may want to lay a more solid foundation down, that class, the class is good for that as well. All right. So, and also visit our Facebook group, Seshew Mani mdw-ntr. Ask questions. If you hear us say something online, like, you know, these hangouts right here, that you have a question about, or you think that we are in error about, we welcome that. You know, our point is accuracy. That's why we call the Seshew Ma'a. You know, we are true scribes or loyal scribes. Our loyalty is to accuracy. Ma'a, the truthfulness, that which is straight. Ma'at is that which is right, that which is straight. So we're loyal to accuracy. So we can make mistakes. We can, you know, misread something or whatever the case is, bring it to our attention. If that's the case, or ask questions, chime in on conversations. We welcome all that stuff. Matter of fact, James, if you're still listening, join the Facebook group, post your question in there, and, you know, we'll have at it. All right. So I just want to kind of lay all of that stuff out and open it up. Anybody have any comments about anything?
Not here.
That was a good exercise right there.
Yeah, and you know, and these exercises should make you feel good too, because you have to see this language is not a language of a living speech community. So you're not going to walk around the streets and hear people speak Rodney Kemet, which, by the way, is the name, indigenous name of the language, the spoken language. Seshew mdw-ntr is the name of the writing system. So you're not going to hear people speak Rodney Kemet, you know, on the streets or anything. There's no living speech communities that are doing that. So, and then people are not going to be writing each other in Seshew mdw-ntr with the hieroglyphs. We don't write in the language. So it's our benefit to practice. So during these exercises will keep you in practice, because, you know, how they say, you snooze, you lose, or out of sight, out of mind. If you don't practice, you'll lose it. Okay, so I always recommend people who are into the learning the language to spend at least 20, 30 minutes a day working on anything. It could be the same thing over and over again. Like even right now, we basically did, let me turn my cursor back on. We basically did this whole section, and you can see how this brown line right here down here is a little thicker. So this is indicating aesthetically that this text is separate from the rest. And how I know that, how I can confirm that, I should say, is now we starting over here, we're starting with a fresh red portion that begins something else. All right. But anyway, we basically did this entire section tonight as a freestyle. So I'm saying that to say that, you know, I always encourage people, even if you have to stare at the same thing, at least spend 20, 30 minutes doing so, because now that we've gone through it, and then let's say tomorrow I look at this again, now I can look and I just recognize things right from memory because I just did it. And then I'll start to recognize patterns, you know, where words end, one word ends, another one begins, and all that stuff, you know. So it's okay to even look at things over and over again. But I definitely recommend that. But just remember, if you're interested in learning how to do this, we have classes. All right. And I just started a new group for Sunday. We meet at 8 p.m. and we just started. So it's not too late to join in. I know today is Friday. But this Sunday coming is going to actually be the first chapter. We're going to the first chapter, and we go through the book, the beginner's introduction to mdw-ntr. All right. That's the complimentary book that goes with the class, with the study course. So we'll be starting. And then I start other groups too. So we have a group Sunday, meets at 8 p.m. And there's a group going on Tuesdays, but that group, we're almost at the end of the course for the Tuesday group. So if you're interested, you know, contact me or contact anyone on the Seshew mdw-ntr, us as a group, or go to the website directly. You can email, and, you know, and everything. All right. So, because, you know, if we could do it, we always say this, if we could do it, you could do it. Because, you know, we're not, you know, we weren't born in a special chip in our mind, our heads. You know, we're not born with the mdw-ntr gene. You know, we don't have that chromosome, that Seshew mdw-ntr chromosome, or we can't stare at the sun and synthesize the sunlight into Seshew, things like that. You know, it's nothing special about that. But matter of fact, let me stop sharing, take that off. Yeah, I mean, you know, does anybody else have anything? Say, I'm trying to look at the comments, see if any last minute comments. Yeah, Little Real on track, boy. One day you need to sign up because you did a good job, boy. I tell you, go ahead and sign up. You know what I mean? Sign up for the class. Take it to another level.
Yes, you know, speaking of the class, I mean, and being able to read by the end of the lessons, I think for those watch or those who were on the chat, you could see Jehudi Mahat. He was knocking off those glyphs and all that. He already finished, and I think he had his certificate last month.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely, yeah, if you take the class or you go through the book correctly, then you should be able to translate and transliterate you know, the Mother Nature. So no melanin, no sun. You know, you just have to put your head to good use, you know, and go through the methods. There's a structure and all of that. You know, we have to give credit to the Ramesh for, you know, for that. Nothing was done randomly. So there's a structure and there's a method.
Right.
And you just have to learn how to do it.
Exactly. And that's a good point, because what I see happening, and it may not even be intentional, but what happens is we tend to always seek to the easy way of doing things. And I think that's a natural thing that we all do. You know, we want to do things the most efficient and easiest way, but sometimes we trade off for quickness, we trade off necessary things. And I think that instead of people taking time out to actually study the language and slow walking it, people want to bypass that. And then these ideas that come up that you can use your pineal gland or stare at the sun and receive sunlight, and all of a sudden the hieroglyphs illuminate to you, and then you understand their meanings and this and that. You know, I think that's a little bit of where that comes from. It comes from this little innate laziness that appeals to all of us. You know, I'm not going to put it on any particular people, but we all have this little lazy thing going on. You know, we want to take the easy way out, and we just have to stop that. On some things, you can't do that. This is not microwave. You know, learning Seshew is not in the microwave section. All right. And I'll repeat that. Learning the language of Egypt, or Rani Kemet and Seshew of ancient Kemet, it is not in the microwave section. All right. You will not find.
You got to put it in the oven. It's going to take a while.
Exactly. You got to put it in the oven.
Matter of fact, you got to put it in the smoker. That's even longer.
Yeah.
Yep, you can't meditate your way through it.
Right, you have to let it marinate first, and then you have to put it in the oven. You have to slow roast it. You got to turn it over and roast the other side. You know, so we just got to have that in mind. It's something, you know. It's just like, it's the thing. Chemistry. If you were to study chemistry, right now, even the average person, if I were to say chemistry, the subject of chemistry, nobody would really expect to microwave that. If I say astrophysics, nobody would really expect to microwave that either. If I say biogenetics, nobody would consider microwaving that. But for some reason, when it comes to languages and ancient Egypt and everything, all of a sudden the microwave oven pops up. You know what I mean? So we have to really, really kind of address that, like really figure out, you know, what's going on. Why the switch up when it comes to Egypt? And I think Egypt is probably one of the most disrespected African cultures. It's one of the greatest, you know, with all of the contributions, but it's one of the most disrespected, full stop. You know, by you know, the grave robbing, you know, way back in the day, to even the destructive archaeological excavations, to today, where people just commercialize it, romanticize it, and then disrespect it. Everybody walking around with, you know, it's like a toy. But nobody does that to other African cultures, like Yoruba, the Ifa tradition and the whole Yoruba culture. It's not treated the same way. And one of the reasons why is because that culture is still living, it's still alive and everything. But I'm just saying it's just handled differently. The Akan culture of Ghana is treated differently. The Bakongo culture, we can name them. They're just handled differently. But when it comes to Egypt, boy, I tell you, it is disrespected. It's disrespected, and we have to change that. And the only way we could change that is by becoming the change that we want to see. So this is why we treat it seriously. This is why we be more scientific with it. We don't play around with it. We don't, go off and start talking about astral projection and space traveling and the natural aliens and this and that, or microwaving, learning the language, and or taking the figurative speech as though it's literal. We don't do that. Nothing indicates that we should. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I know I'm going off on a tangent, but if nobody
that is disrespectful to the culture and just to the sciences behind it,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can't reap what you didn't sow, so you have to put in the work,
Exactly. All right, so yeah, I just want to say, give a shout out to a couple of people that I didn't see before. So we have Black History 365, say Hotep, Trick yeah. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Hotep. Yeah, we come up with some real creative screen names. Matter of fact, screen names mess around and be like mdw-ntr, Seshew mdw-ntr. Like, Flint Martinez, Hidden Rambler. I'm just calling off some names. Let's see while I'm scrolling. But okay, so yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. It's over 2 hours. So if nobody else says anything, then I would kindly ask our Sonnet Tonica to give us some closing words and close us out, if you don't mind.
Yes, Dua. Just to say, Dua for tuning in, and yeah, as we always say, if you want to join in the discussion, definitely check out the Facebook group page, and if you're not a member, then just join. That is Seshew mdw-ntr, and if you want to learn the language, take the classes or buy the book, just go to the page mdw-ntr.com, which is www.mdw-ntr.com. And if you feel that there's some corrections that need to be made, or you all of that, from this video or from on any other ones that we have on the archive, feel free to do that as well. And you do that in a group page. Yeah, and once again, thank you very much, and we'll see you on Wednesday for Divine Words Wednesday. So I'll say get an affair and Shema Motep.